All right, everyone, and welcome to this series where we're having conversations about detrimental kindness. Today's guest, our first episode is with James Douglas. James, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do?
Hi, Jason. Thanks for having me. So I'm a marriage and family and mental health therapist. I am based in Florida. I've been doing that for about 15 years now in mental health, psychology, behavioral health space. And I have a business for ADHD coaching called Mindful ADHD, where I support youth, teens, adults, and executives to help manage their ADHD and have more control of their ADHD versus their ADHD control over them.
And I think that's important work because I've been in this skills mental health, working with people in different aspects, behavior coaching. ADHD can be misunderstood. I'm sure you know that. And I'm sure you've had
Yeah.
to help people overcome misunderstanding, also what tools they can use. So, in our episode today, we're going to explore something I call detrimental kindness. When being kind or being capable, it starts costing more than it gives. So, I'm talking with people, professionals like yourself, about how this shows up in their lives, in their relationship. So it's not for us to necessarily fix it, but to understand it more honestly. And so this will be one of those conversations. So my first question for you is when you hear the phrase detrimental kindness, what comes to mind?
So for me, when I hear detrimental kindness, I first think boundaries because I start to think about the first word detrimental. So at some point, it's taking away from me. And despite how kind or what I need to do or want to do for someone else or others, I still feel depleted at the end of it. And that's the first thing that comes to mind for me when I think of detrimental kindness.
Yeah, you use a couple of great words there, especially the word depleted, because a lot of times what I've seen is we are so on helping others that the focus does not go to what is costing us. So it's going to cost us something. How have you seen this show up in your lineup?
So before even diving into that, I think it's one of those things that appears as if a whole with society brought into the world, we are naturally taught to do for others before ourselves, whether that's being polite and holding the door, things like that. It's always little things like that. And I think when we're programmed to always put people first, it is hard to identify when that is too much. And I think for my profession, especially in the therapy space, it is my role to be a support for the people that I'm working with. But I think for me, having clear boundaries for myself first, and then being able to effectively communicate that if I feel that there's a disconnect in the balance of kindness or respect that's given to each other. And a big one for the therapy space or even the coaching space could be cancellations or no shows, right? Just the simple fact of checking in and saying that I won't make it or I can't do that shows a respect, a mutual back and forth that goes a long way. And if it's not being met, instead of just being like, oh, I'm not going to be kind anymore. Let's talk about this. And let's figure it out.
Yeah.
And that,
I- yeah. And something I feel like that's missing, especially in our society, is we're kind of apologetics, right? Oh, I'm so sorry I missed it. Oh, something happened, but we don't take into consideration what it cost the other person, right? If you didn't show up to that appointment, they could have been working with another client. They may have lost some income from that. Other things may have happened as well. So we don't always acknowledge the impact of what we did, even if we have a justifiable excuse. I think it's still important for us to acknowledge being responsible for what happened on the other end as well. But a lot of people don't know how to navigate those situations. We've got conflict, like you said, there is a disconnect. Somebody didn't keep their word, the appointment didn't happen. It doesn't make us necessarily bad or wrong for that, but it's something that we need to, yeah. Why do you think people stay in these type of patterns even when they're depleted and exhausted and unhappy.
Mm. So I think going back to what we've been programmed to do and how we've been programmed to respond to other people. And I think lack of awareness. So thankfully, you wrote a book that helps educate and for people to understand what that could even look like. Because I think a lot of people are feeling it, but maybe don't know how to make the adjustment or to it. Because it's like, well, if, because a lot of people, especially even people I work with, it's hard for them to, they want to do for others, but not for themselves. So if it's hard to identify that, then it's going to be hard to make that change of being able to adjust the amount of energy you're putting out to others and what that looks like. So I think awareness, increasing awareness about it.
Yeah. One thing I always tell people is that I'm not out here being the, I hate to even say the word, the kindness Nazi. I'm not telling people to not be nice anymore. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is to make sure that your kindness works for you too. So, what do you want to say, or what do you wish people understood about kindness that they often don't understand?
I would say first identify what kindness means for you versus comparing to other people what that looks like. And once you identify what kindness is for you, you're able to have effective boundaries for yourself, which then you know when you are giving too much out and you're not getting anything in return, or you know when to maybe call quits or stop or pause for a second, but also identifying and working on the skills to be able to communicate that if you aren't getting needs met or if you have to have a conversation in regards to a better balance. So I would say all three of those. So I think it's very important to be able to first identify what kindness is for you. Don't compare yourself to others' kindness and be able to effectively communicate your boundaries and what you need. And I think in return, you have a healthy relationship. So,
Two things that stood out to me. Number one, you said to define your own kindness because we all are kind in different ways. My kindness, it may not be the same as yours, but hey, I'm being nice to you. Like, oh, that's not nice, right? So you need to define that, what it means to you individually. The second thing that you said is don't compare yourself to others, which I feel like the brain wants to do a lot because you compare to how others are not having these issues. So people have often come to me and say, "What's wrong with me? Why can I just say no?" I think that's number one why I wrote the book because I got so tired, James, of hearing people, well, just say no, just set a boundary. But they skip that first part, just like you mentioned. What does being kind mean to you, first of all, before you even get to the point that you need to set a boundary in the first place? Well, I think that's important. Some people have the type of relationships where they can draw a line. Just their personality will say no, and it means no. Some people don't have that. Their no,
yep.
it's like because they say it sometimes, their no actually means yes. People don't know how to take them seriously. So I think it really is important that you said that, not to compare yourself to how others are setting boundaries or navigating conflict or not depleting themselves because it will look different for each people, for each person. So wow, that's a great point. Yeah.
That's very true.
Okay. Wow, man, that's awesome. So what are at least maybe one or two tips that you could share for the audience who feel like they just can't get a grip on this? They really don't know, how do I set a boundary? What would be some suggestions?
So I would say going back to the piece of what is kindness and who are you?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, for example, we might be taught certain acts of kindness, but that's taught from that person's perspective on what they think is best for that individual.
Yeah.
But as you grow and get older, you start to identify who you are and what your kindness and what that means for you. So I think if someone's struggling to grasp it, maybe look inwards and try to reflect on what kindness is for me and how can I be kind to others and also myself. And I think once you start with that, you have a better understanding of self, and then you do the things and you navigate based off of you versus other people, parents, peers. work relationships, things like that. You're doing it for yourself versus others. So I think it's connecting more with yourself.
And it just came to mind to talk about the profession of a therapist or even a coach. When it comes to setting boundaries with clients, like a lot of people are burnt out. I noticed
Yeah.
that our society, I have never, I'm 43, right?
Mhm.
I'm not old, but I've been around a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels like even with myself, it's like it's so exhausting. There's so many expectations that people have to show up and be something for everybody, and then to even take the time for yourself. So a lot of people are reaching to the point where they are just completely exhausted and burnt out. So what I want to ask you is, what have you found helpful? Because you have family as well.
Mhm.
What have you found helpful in setting the, if it does exist, we call it the work-life balance. I don't know that there
Yeah.
truly is a work-life balance, but if there was, what have you found helpful in having that balance between work and life?
Oh man, great question. Great question. So for me, I had a colleague share this to me probably like 2 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. If you look at your calendar, a lot of the times things are being things are being taken from you. So I intentionally put time in my calendar for me, despite having relationship, despite having family, despite having work. I have me time in there. So I think being intentional with what you're doing for yourself is first priority. Whether that's exercise, whether it's getting outside, whether that's favorite restaurant you like, whether it's travel, you have to fill up your cup before you can fill up anyone else's cup. Easier said than done, but I think it first goes with intentionality and just doing it, putting it in your calendar and just doing it for yourself and not feeling some type of way about it. Because at the end of the day, it shows up for everyone else.
Yes.
That can be a tough one too. It's like you start to,
It can be.
can I do that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yep.
you can do it. Yeah, do
Yeah.
it.
Yes, you can. It's so important that you said that. What I'm hearing you say is you make it a priority, and making it a priority means that you actually have your schedule, your calendar, and it's literally time blocked off. That's just for you. There's no appointments to be set. There's no anything else coming or getting in the way. It's kind of like going to a doctor's appointment where you're going to go and you're going to show up. So, wow, man, that is amazing. I do that actually.
Yeah, that's good.
Not for everything, but there's things that I really want to do, like go out with friends. I will
Mhm.
turn the calendar.
That's
Uh,
good.
and every once in a while, I will turn off the calendar for like a couple hours out of the day.
Mhm.
Just do nothing at all. It's called the offline app.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I'll add to what you said. It's have an offline hour, no scrolling, because we're constantly, I don't even know what the right word is, James. I want to say bombarded. Like the moment we wake up, I even feel it's still
Go, go, go.
subject of checking notifications and, you this and have to do that. And then, of course, in our society right now, at the end of the day, all of that, it is important to know what's going on, but our peace of mind is equally important. So that's why I like the idea of an offline hour because I'm in control of what is coming across my, whether it's coloring in a coloring book, which I love to do. I've got coloring books. I'm sure you know that,
Mm.
or just doing nothing, staring out the window, watching nature, or just maybe laying down, going for a picnic, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So with that, I love that you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the offline hour. I think I'm going to start doing that myself. So I've just been putting blocks. Sometimes if like I have a cancellation or if I see a gap of time that I know I can help recharge or just do something for myself that I enjoy. And I like that because also when you put it in there, it helps remind you that this is your time. So you don't block like schedule over it. That's a common one too. If I didn't have it in there, I would just schedule over top of it. I'd be like, oh man, I can't go to the gym
Yep.
today because I
Been
scheduled
there
it too
and done
early.
it. Yep.
And now I can't. My day's going to be long, but
Yeah.
because I didn't do it for myself, and I know it's going to be harder
Yeah.
to be there for everyone else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you mentioned something earlier. This is also in my book. You mentioned peers and society. We are often praised for being the one who sacrificed. Oh, he's such a giver, people would tell me. They left out part of the truth. He's also a taker. He's taking from himself, is the side that we don't see. So we're so busy praising each other. Oh, yeah, you're selfless. And I'm not telling people to not be selfless. That's not what I'm saying.
Mhm.
It's, is to make sure that self is also included in the kindness. So the programming, I would say, comes from that kind of praise, putting yourself last,
Mhm.
giving it away. I gave away my toys when I was younger. Oh
Yep.
yeah, well, I don't really need it. Man, you can't get me to share. Not yeah, you can't get me to share these days. But I think twice now. You
Yep.
can't borrow my car. You can't be on my phone. These are my things.
Yeah. That's good too.
Well, I had to kind of flip the script around. Like my wallet and my credit card is mine. I'm responsible for these bills
Mhm.
also. So it doesn't mean that my wallet, my bank account has to be wide open to someone else in the name of being kind. So
Yep. That's very true.
good stuff. I could, of course, go on and on about this topic all day, man. But I want to thank you for being a part of this conversation, sharing, your experience about detrimental kindness, specifically in your field as well. Where can people find you if they want to be a part of your, I guess I call it ecosystem, or find out how to work with you and more about what you do?
Yeah, so I can be found on Instagram at ADHD underscore coach underscore James. And then also my website, www.mindfullymanaging ADHD.com. And also LinkedIn. I'm under James Douglas Jr.
I love that. Mindfully. That's what stood
Yep.
out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be mindful.
That's a great term. Yeah. We got to be conscious of how we're dealing with these challenges. James Douglas, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. And for all the audience, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope everyone has a great day or a great evening wherever you are.
Thank you for having me, Jason.